Hello, Starknet family. Welcome back to the Star Cafe. I'm Nur Star, your personal Star barista. And once again, we are ready to serve you with some very special Starknet content. So, my friends, let's get ready for a very green episode today, as we'll be exploring a Starknet project that is helping companies to offset their carbon footprint through programs that are creating several carbon sinks around the world and which, besides obviously helping fighting climate change and global warming, they also generate carbon credits in the process. So I'm very happy to introduce to you the founders of Carbonable, a project building on Starknet. So welcome to the Star Cafe, Ramsey and Guillaume. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
That's amazing, guys. It's been a while. I wanted to bring you on the Star Cafe, and we finally managed it. Very happy about that. So I think we can start this Star Cafe with a brief introduction about yourself and your backgrounds, because I really believe that they would be very interesting to know for me and for the whole community. And then you can also finish your background by saying how you came up with the idea and the vision behind Carbonable.
Excellent. So maybe I start, and then Ramsey, you take on for to explain everything about Carbonable, the blockchain, etc. Everything we're building. So my side, co-founder of Carbonable, obviously. I have a engineering degree, so background. I started as an engineer, then moved to Canada, did an MBA over there, and then worked as a product leader in the digital space for about 8 years, from east to west. So 5 years in Montreal, 3 years in Vancouver. Had the opportunity to work on a quite big AI company, on one of the leader of the media space in the North America broadband TV. So very let's say product tech hat, and also always very involved on the environmentalist and nonprofit world as a whole. So was at the board of a charity, of an NGO over there, and then worked as a consultant for international NGO acting on the climate field. And at some point, along with Ramsey, the idea and the will and the motivation to actually build something that bridges, both environment and tech, and we did it through Carbonable, and Ramsey will give you more details about it.
Thanks a lot. Very glad to hear about your background, and looking forward to hearing from Ramsey as well.
Do you hear me? Just a new test. Working?
Yeah, we can hear you perfectly.
Excellent. Let's go. So I'm Ramsey, the one struggling with with the microphone today. So I'm the co-founder with Guillaume. We started the adventure 2 years ago now. We know each other since a long time with Guillaume. We were at the same engineering school more than 15 years ago, I think now. So I stayed in France and in Benelux for my part of life, and worked in industries. So I'm more the operational guy, let's say. So I worked at P&G, so Procter & Gamble, which is a retailer. Then at Coty, where I had jobs on master data expert, SAP expert, supply and demand planning, and warehousing director at the end, and managing also the transportation for Western Europe. So it was a big part of my working life, to be honest. And at the end, also worked for Total Energy, but for more for the governance part, for the IT, the IT teams, let's say, with the CTO on a few missions, working with the business case with the people from the fields to find how we could help them with technology, and more specifically at this time on low code. So yeah, I think it's enough to not tease too much about it and let you, Norstar, guide the interview. So.
Very impressive background, Ramsey. Thanks a lot for sharing it. And yeah, so before diving deep into Carbonable, or should we pronounce it Carbonable or Carbonable?
Actually, in French, we'll say Carbonable.
Okay, Carbonable, right? Okay.
In English,
Great.
it was Carbonable at the beginning, but Guillaume, you want to talk also about it, and now I think we are at the middle, and now we like Carbonable. No, I don't know.
Carbonable.
Carbonable. I'm saying it in French.
Yeah.
Okay.
The thing is like, see, there is either a Carbonable. It was more like, in the positive, green, like eco-friendly tone, like able to do stuff through Carbonable. The truth is now we're more about like Carbonable, which is actionable, and that's about it. Like the whole thing that we're building is a tool that is dedicated to enhancing efficiency, enhance integrity in this market, and so more so than able, it's able.
Very good. Carbonable it is then. And yeah, before diving deep into it, let's have a nearly 5 explanation of what carbon credits are, how they work, and how blockchain technology can improve this market.
Mm-hmm. So maybe I'm going to start on the carbon front, and then Ramsey, you can jump in for the blockchain part. So carbon credits are, let's say, a financial instrument that represent the equivalent of a ton of CO2 that has been either removed or avoided to be sent to the atmosphere. So basically, if we start with the very basic, one carbon removal is the equivalent of 1 ton of CO2 absorbed or avoided to be sent to the atmosphere. So quite simple. Now, why do I say that it's a financial asset? It's sort of a financial asset in the sense that it's a financial incentive to actually fund solutions that either remove or avoid emissions from the atmosphere. So the way it works is, and if we take the example of like nature, because nature-based solutions are some of the solutions that help remove or avoid emissions. So, for example, a nature regeneration project is a project where you need obviously some operational money, so funds to actually run the project, to kick it off, and to operate during like the years it exists. So a nature-based solution is often, let's say, 25 years, and you will need money to finance this project to get off the ground. The way it's going to be financed is through carbon credits. So you can actually, like, you will purchase carbon credits or future of carbon credits through an agreement with a project developer. And what you do is you pay for the amount of money required to actually run the project, and in exchange you will have like the amount of carbon credits that are equivalent to the quantity of CO2 that will be either absorbed or removed from the atmosphere thanks to that project. So if we go back to the very root, that's what it is. And then for a company, it's actually like an asset that you can use to counterbalance your emissions. So you're a company, you are committing to net zero. You want to be net zero by 2030 or 2040 or whichever your target is. What you're going to do is you first do a carbon footprint. So you map out all the different emissions that you can do, internally or through your providers, suppliers, etc. When you have that overall carbon footprint, you will assess and you will see where you can actually reduce this amount of CO2. So you will do like what we call like the reducing part, and which is the main priority right now everywhere when you read about like sustainability and net zero. So you reduce to what we can call an incompressible level of CO2. It means that even though you've done like everything you could, you cannot go below a certain amount of emissions. You know, we are humans, we use computers, you need electricity, etc. It will generate CO2. And so all those incompressible emissions, as a company, you can decide to counterbalance them by using carbon credits. And so that's really like the summary of like what does it represent in real world and how is it used concretely by companies.
Very well, Guillaume. What an insightful explanation about carbon credits, what they are, and how they work. And Ramsey, would you like to add something on the tech side?
Yeah,
Or
yeah. Actually, before starting on what we can do with tech and blockchain and other technology, we cannot start talking about it without talking about the challenges. Actually, so maybe we are not a lot of people in right now currently in the space, and we can maybe like do a test with a reaction about who of you think when he heard about carbon credit and carbon contribution to carbon neutrality, who link this subject to greenwashing or to like say bullshit communication. Could be interesting to have the feedback. I'm trying the space. I don't know if it's working like this. I don't know if we see any reaction, but the idea is that we need to start with the challenges. And the key challenges is about the trust. As Guillaume explained, the theory is really, really pragmatic, really scientific, and it's proven and supported by all the experts on the ground, the one from the IPCC. Each year, on each report, you have it, the voluntary carbon credit, the voluntary credit market is needed to achieve the targets we have toward the carbon emission diminution and also contribution to carbon neutrality to avoid a too high increase of the temperature on the earth. And when we lose trust, when the theory and when the execution is not possible and not good enough, it means that things are not doing correctly. It means that the theory stay a theory and the execution stay a bad execution and not effective. And when the execution is not working, the people lose trust in what is done. So for example, you have like in the beginning of the year, you have like ton of articles talking about how carbon credits, some projects are obsolete, which means that, for example, if you some companies financed a project, a regenerative project in Africa, and the forest burned 3 years after or 4 years after. It means that the project never absorbed all the carbon that it should have when it was at the project status. And the carbon credit that have been emitted then are obsolete. So we have a discrepancy between the theory and the carbon credit emission and the execution, which is bad. And if we have this discrepancy, it means that it's not working. And we have tons of examples like this. Double counting is another one, and also certification. We have some subject about how it is working, but that's it. But when we say all of this, and when we see the IPCC and the regulation, we see that we don't have choice. This is the only chance we have to act on this topic without staying on the blah blah level, let's say, and the political discussions and promises. And if we want to have like a good execution, we have to provide good capability. And this is where technology could help, bringing capability. And here, when we are lacking trust, the capability of, for example, the blockchain could bring the proofs and the proofs of integrity. So you can show now what you do. Anyone can audit it. This is the philosophy at the heart of the philosophy of the blockchain. And the idea of Carbonable was to start with the why, to start with what is not working, the qualitative supply. So this is why we started working on a launchpad, and blockchain helped us a lot about creating infrastructures that are really interesting and cost efficient to fund project, because without it, it's reserved to big companies, and the amount of creating trust to invest in this project are huge, which is not efficient if we need the synergy and a multiplication of creation of such project. So blockchain helps on the accessibility part too, and on making more efficient structures to enable big companies and small companies. And why small, or even individuals? And why small individuals and small companies are needed in this process? It's because the targets of the big companies that will be first dedicated to big companies will escalate, desescalate at the end to third parties, actually. So if you are a company, you're going to ask to your providers to make the effort for you to be compliant with the regulation. So long story short, blockchain could help on bringing more integrity and more tools toward capabilities to prove integrity. And it's really interesting when we put this capability in front of challenges that are faced in the carbon market. I stop here because I can speak about it during hours. But
fair enough, Rams. You made a great point in saying that the best solutions to these complex situations around carbon credits will be coming from a very careful observations of the things and strategies that are going wrong for the time being. And yeah, as you said, there's a lot of greenwashing, and also obviously it is a very complex topic that is being manipulated a lot on the political level, and sometimes it's very difficult also for companies and individuals to navigate this field. So I agree with you that blockchain will be playing a very crucial role in this field, because obviously it is a technology that enables transparency and help making things in a trustless way, which is essential, I guess, in this world. And right now, I mean, I'd like to speak about Carbonable more in details. And by having a look at the very beautiful and well-structured website, which is a very beautiful welcome card of your project, I must say. And I suggest all the live listeners to scroll down their websites during our chat on the Star Cafe, because it will help you out understanding even more how Carbonable works. And I love to know how the process works, how carbon sinks are chosen by Carbonable, and how do you help also companies choose the right carbon removal projects while shaping their contributions according to their needs.
Maybe, Guillaume, it could be good to have you on the topic of selection project, and maybe to talk about the webinar that we have tomorrow. That will be interesting. But maybe before going there, about what is Carbonable and what is the solution that we are bringing on the table. So Carbonable, we are building an infrastructure. So I will link also to the previous question before starting answering to it. So today, if you take what is the carbon credit, the carbon credit is a synthetic, okay? So it's not tangible. There's nothing like you can touch that is about carbon absorption. It's only math, it's only estimation on a paper made by scientific. researcher developers that take the legal responsibility to say that by regenerating this type of biodiversity in this area of the world, you're gonna absorb that amount of at least that amount of credit unit of carbon credit. As I'm a bit afraid about the regulation, I will take as a certifier, I will take a guy, I don't remember the name, but a small amount of to avoid error, and then I will say that this project generate this amount of carbon credit. Okay, so for now the representation of carbon credit is really interesting. What make the value of a carbon credit, it's all the metadata linked to it. And sorry to start with this and this little introduction before answering your question, but I don't forget about it. And I think Guillaume will have a good value in his answer to answer this. But I wanted to start with that. So the carbon credit is a synthetic, it's a representation. And for now, the representation is not really working well because there is many different representations. There is no standards. Every certifier has its own standards. It's a bit complicated to track. There is a lot of opacity, not enough transparency, and so on and so on. So at Carbonable, as we told you in the beginning, we are working on bringing trust to this market. So we are working about what is the best way to represent the carbon unit and how it is the best way to manage it, okay, during the whole life cycle, keeping what is important for a carbon credit. I mean by that the metadata. So where the carbon credit come from? Is it mangrove? Is it forest? How? What is the starting date of the project? The end date of the project? What is the status in terms of monitoring? Is the project still alive or not? Okay, so this is the base. So today, Carbonable is first an infrastructure. Okay, so we build the best way to represent the best layer, like could do a blockchain. We built like a layer of trust. We need everything that we build everything that is needed to have a layer of trust, an incremental layer of trust between the investor, the users, the companies, and the project holders and the certifier. Okay, so this is the first thing of Carbonable. And on top of it, so it means that to have the right way to digitalize, and by digitalizing, I mean in the blockchain ecosystem, tokenize. What is the best contract to represent a carbon credit? What is the best contract to represent the project? What is the best contract to lock the promises and prove the integrity of the future usage of company that put money on the table and say, okay, I finance the project to contribute to neutralize the carbon emission. But today you have to rely on my promises because I cannot prove it. I don't have the capability to do so. It's only promises that I can do because there's nothing else I can do. Internally, I have SAP, for example, where I can prove the orders and the exchange I made with other warehouses or clients, but externally with the carbon credit, I don't have this kind of system. So what we want to build and what we are building at Carbonable is this infrastructure. And this infrastructure is open source. So first, at Carbonable, we bring infrastructure to tackle the challenges of the sustainability and more dedicated. And today we are more dedicated to the carbon credit, and we're also thinking about biodiversity credit and so on. But this is another subject. And on top of it, you have services, because on top of it, this infrastructure is made to create value, okay? And to create value, for example, we worked on the first project that was creating an infrastructure to have a better way to finance projects and to make them accessible, to make them liquid, to enable to make it more easy actually for a company or an individuals to be positioned on this market. A position for two reasons. It could be like position because I want to have my savings on real assets and real assets that have impact on the planet, or I want to have I want to finance future carbon credits, so projected carbon units, what we call it, and I want to have like a stock for the coming years because I know the price will go up and so on. So this is a service. You have other services that we are working on Carbonable. How I can make it auditable, how I can save, and how I can play the layer and the coordinator between the client that have multiple projects, multiple certifiers, and the certifiers that have different registry, where I can find the source of truth and how I can build the auditability things. So I started it with clarify what is the scope of Carbonable, about being an infrastructure and having on top of it services. We build services, but anyone else could bring the same things. So, for example, if you are in the ecosystem of project development, or if you are a funder and you want to fund project that you curate because you know a lot of project holders and you think you can play, you can fork Carbonable toolkit of crowdfunding and propose your own curation. It's possible. We made it possible. And tomorrow, if you want to track using Carbonable the project that you didn't finance with Carbonable, it's possible. So I wanted to start with that, and started with that. Maybe Guillaume, you can provide more information about what is this technological stack about Carbonable, starting with funding and proposing good project, but also taking them on the other pillars. You're on mute, Guillaume, but I'm not sure you hear me.
Sorry, I was answering in on mute. Sorry. Yeah, thank you for that clarification, Ramsey. It's very important. I think that everyone's understand. I think it's true in the Starknet ecosystem. We're more so known for the the dApp that we've created, but indeed, like the core of what we're doing is the infrastructure, and actually this infrastructure is here to bridging and enabling like the market supply to the market demand through a proper and integer asset management. And so it means standardizing and scaling carbon offset with integrity. If we want to summarize the mission that we have with this infrastructure, one of the key one of the applications, there are many, as Ramsey said, like one is the project funding. So the one that we are, I think, so far known for on the Starknet environment. So project funding. If I go back to the basics, as we said, like the first step is to identify what we qualify as good carbon projects, very good carbon projects. As Ramsey said, I invite you all actually to join. Tomorrow we have a webinar that is composed of two very important leaders of the carbon offset market. One which is a project developer, Morpho. So Adrien from Morpho, which is a very, let's say, innovative project developer company using drones to plant seeds, etc. So and to monitor, etc. Very interesting. We have also like in the panel certifier, ERS, Ecosystem Restoration Standard, which is like a new, or let's say not new, but like upcoming certifier, which is revolutionizing a little bit like the certifying world. So both really important players, and along with us as the carbon, the platform dedicated to carbon offsets and like management and auditability. So to go back to the point, please join us tomorrow. But yeah, once we select what is a good project, there are plenty of criteria to do so. The webinar is about this, so if you're interested, join. Once this project is identified, the next step is, okay, how do we, what is their operational needs? How much money do they need against how many carbon credits? That's what we've discussed together. So once we are clear on this, what we're going to do is that we're going to tokenize those projects. Those projects will be tokenized through SFT at the moment on Carbonable. SFT, which are like semi-fungible token. We have created actually like a dedicated article on it on Medium. I invite you to read through why, But let's say, to make it simple, because carbon credits themselves are semi-fungible. They're not fungible, they're semi-fungible. A carbon credit from between one and the other are fungible in the sense that they're 1 ton equivalent of CO2, but they're not fungible because they don't have at all the same criteria and the same characteristic and the same metadata. So they're semi-fungible. So first, we identify. Second, we leverage blockchain technology, let's say, to fragment the investment opportunity. Third, we do a public sale. People will then acquire those NFTs, which are actually like shares within that project. So they're the proof that they own stakes in this project. And they will then get access to the underlying carbon credits, which we are also tokenizing. We are in the process of doing. We will explain and shed much more light on this once this is finalized. But this is like we are progressing really well on that front. Again, like Ramsey was saying, we really didn't want to rush anything. It's too much of an important matter to rush things. It was very important to actually understand completely the market, completely what are the challenges, and to think it through and understand how we can actually resolve them through technology. So this is one of the example, the funding, empowering anyone, individuals and companies, to actually take part in those nature regeneration funding projects. And we have plenty of other actually applications to the overall carbon offset space. So I don't know if you wanted to dig on others, or if you have like questions about what we just explained. Maybe a little break would be appreciated. I don't know.
Very well, Guillaume. I mean, a lot of very precious information about Carbonable. And yeah, I'm sure that, it will be even better to listen to this Twitter space later on, like in the coming days, in order to better, understand the great amount of information that you are giving to us, and about a very complex topic. And we are learning a lot. First of all, I linked the webinar of tomorrow on the comment section of this Twitter space. So for the listeners, if you want to book a seat, let's do it. And then I also wanted to take advantage of a small break in order to say hello to some of our live listeners. We have our friends from Eat Daily, Leo, Exodus, Schwab, Kodawari, Andrit, Ami, Amy, Omer, and Vince, and Mart, who's also a very active contributor from the Hablando de Starknet community. And he actually runs a reforestation project in Guatemala. So maybe one day I'll put you through him. And yeah, now let's go back to the Twitter space. And I wanted to know, as part of your services, there's also a lot of focus on monitoring the carbon sinks, both on the result side, but also during the process of distributing funds to grow these carbon sinks. So even though Ramsey touched on this already a little bit, how do you make sure that all the funds involved are safe from corruption, fraud, and how do you and your clients monitor the results of their contributions in an objective and transparent way?
That's where technology comes in for the most part on the two matters. Let's start with the monitoring and whatnot. So it's been a very important lack in the carbon market. One of the biggest gap leading to potential greenwashing, and the fact that companies are talking about projects which are not live anymore. So they've funded a project which never started, or started just a few years or whatever. So when you actually assess the quality of a project, it's not only, you don't only assess it for the year one, you actually, like, for the D-Day where it starts. You actually also assess the likelihood of this project to move forward during like the number of years that is required for the project to fulfill its commitment. So it's about obviously like operational costs. It's about the involvement of the local communities. It's about let's say the track record of the project developers. It's about like there are plenty of criteria to analyze the likelihood of projects to make it through the years. Now, once we've said that, is how do you monitor it? How do you monitor it? There are like legal obligations, let's say, from certifiers. Generally, they do it every 5 years, some a bit less, some a bit more, but let's say every 5 years, they have like an auditor that go on the field, and on the field, they say yes, no, maybe, etc. Now, we've realized that some certifiers, didn't necessarily say exactly how it went, or were not necessarily estimating the right number of carbon offset over the years. There's been plenty of scandals right now, like if you read like the Guardian, etc. So the point is, we need third-party reviews. You cannot like, if not, there is like you're both the judge and the party, and there is like a big problem because you sell something, and obviously you have an incentive to say that everything is going well, right? So instead, now what you have are like what we believe is that we need first and foremost, obviously, certifiers that do things with integrity, etc. That's number one, and that's sure. But beyond that, you need like then third-party monitor entities, and to do so, you have some established companies which are doing like very thorough analysis of different projects. And you have also like emerging companies which are using like digital tools such as satellite imagery and artificial intelligence to actually monitor the evolution of the projects on a real-time basis, or almost so, like every 3 days or so, through satellite imagery. And this is very precious information, because you can see how the let's say the trees are growing, or how the mangrove is growing, etc. You can see the biomass percentage. You can see the height of the different of the vegetation, etc., etc. So all those KPIs can be monitored live, and all of this combined comes to like a carbon offset monitoring. You have also now new players which is called what is called eDNA, and those players, they're sort of the DMRV, but for biodiversity. So because when you finance those projects, not only do you monitor how your carbon offset goes, you also monitor what is the impact on the biodiversity, and you also monitor what is the impact on the livelihoods, i.e., like the local communities development. And so all those indicators are really essential to qualify like the quality of a project, and are key to monitor. To do so like technology goes with AI, satellite imagery, and on our side about like integrity and transparency and traceability, i.e. those elements we can definitely add them towards our platform so that the data is publicly available, etc. And the idea is also like to combine those different monitoring third parties, so that you don't have like one single source of trust, but instead like you have a combined. You don't need to rely on one single partner. You can actually combine all the KPIs provided by those partners and provide them like the utmost level of transparency and traceability that you can on those projects. And ultimately, what you do is a combination of those digital monitoring and then field monitoring from the different auditors and certifiers, and also project developers themselves. That's why we've built like a solution for project developers to provide photos, images, testimonials, etc. Also on an ongoing fashion. So I think that was like a pretty detailed answer for the monitoring. And for the what was the first question? It was for the money generated, right? Like the fundraising. and making sure that it goes to the right pocket.
Exactly. Yeah. Um,
And so that's
amazing
for
answers. Thanks a lot
perfect.
for that. And maybe I'll ask Ramsey for a question about the tech. Then we'll rush a bit towards the end because I don't want to wait to take too much of your time. And I was thinking about the fact that Ramsey, you said that you're using semi-fungible smart contracts. So I suppose are you using ERC 1155? And also, I wanted to know, how do you connect them to the off-chain data coming from the state of the carbon sinks that they are related to, seeing that, ERC 1155 can be thought as, NFTs that evolve, together with the projects they are connected to?
Many questions in one. Same. I will try to make it as clear as possible, and please drive me if you see I'm going too long. And I will also connect to last question. So and I will start with that. So what is interesting when you are asking all this question is that how could we do without blockchain? And this is the biggest question that I have to ask, even without layer 2. It's how do you manage trust of monitoring? For example, before blockchain and before AI, people were going on the ground, and it was not working because you did not have trust on what was happening there. So I wanted to open about how could you do without it, and the only fact to ask the question how we could, there is an answer on the blockchain. We can collect information, we can prove this information, and even when you are using AI, we can prove the AI, and Giza is working and doing great on that, and we're talking also with them. So the future on blockchain, I don't see another future for system of information. So for example, if I take my previous hat of warehousing and so on, when you are working on quality, you have like people that have these roles of controlling the quality of your product, and I have a system to do it and you have specific tasks where you could have trust, but it's when you're working in centralization, it's much better. It's easy when it's centralized. Here, the carbon credit, it's a public good. It's something that is interoperable, that is shared between like a lot of players and standards. And I'm back on your question right now. We need a standard to manage. To manage the same assets and the same carbon credit. And for that, we don't see a future of carbon credit on ERC20 because fungibility, you lose the essence, and we already told that. So we look at the other things. Could we work with NFT? NFT, maybe it's too non-fungible and you have a lot of complexity linked to that. So you have to work, you need liquidity because at the end, carbon credit is used in an accounting. So you do the emission that you have minus the carbon credit. So at this moment, this is fungible, but you want to have information about where they come from, and this is where the semi-fungibility comes from. So back on the tech part, we are researching for now. So for now, the best option could be the 3525 or the 1155. Okay, both have really interesting aspects. So for now, we are using for the project the 3525 that have been brought on Starknet by Tecac, so from Carbonable. We were the first to deploy and to create the smart contracts in Kero, and then Kero 0, then Kero, which is really helpful. And this is interesting, and this opened a lot of usage in the real life. It's not only linked to sustainability. For example, so semi-fungibility, when you have semi-fungibility, it's like NFT that are more dynamics. You have an issue. The issue is when you go on the marketplace, semi-fungible are compatible with the NFT, so you can find the semi-fungible on the marketplace. But on a semi-fungible are linked to a value. So you could have SFT with 0 value, and you could have SFT with 1 million value, but it's still only one object on the marketplace. So we were like, okay, if we put this like this, we already have a really complex subject. But if people get full because they buy an SFT that have zero value because they don't see it in the metadata that have not been dynamic, we're gonna create an aversion for Carbonable. So we say, okay, we need some dynamic stuff. We need some dynamic NFT, things that could show and could evolve with the information attached to it and related to it. And this is really interesting because working on this, you have an image. We finished by creating SVG. We finished by avoiding putting the image on IPFS because we found that Kero, and this is the biggest part of Tariq work, Tekak, on that part, we succeed on creating a fully on-chain NFT that is generated by the smart contract, by Kero, and that is not stocked anywhere. It's auto-generated, and that is dynamic. So at any time when you generate the image, it takes the last information dynamically about the project. And this is huge. And this is not linked only to Carbonable. This will help us. This will help us creating a UX, and I will come back to UX after because I think it could be a really good subject also to discuss. But without digressing too much, yeah, we started working on the semi-fungible. We are working on 1155 and 3525, but we are working also on dynamic that is linked to this choice because nobody else on the blockchain for now. You have a lot of infra. You don't have really real life use case that are interesting. We are doing so. We are not modest when we say this, but it's the case. And we are creating new usage and opening the way for others to come on the blockchain. And for us, Starknet is incredible for that. I'll stop here to let you with other question. But yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, really looking forward to seeing how your research in this front will look like in the coming months. What you will come out with, and yeah. So I would like to invite some guests to ask you questions. So if there's anybody who would like to ask Guillaume and Ramsey for a question, please send me the invitation to speak, or just write a comment in the comment section. And yeah, in the meanwhile, maybe I'll ask you for the last question on my side. So what can we expect from Carbonable during the next 6 months, more or less? And also, I was wondering if you were thinking about launching your own app chain on top of the Madara sequencer. And also, I wanted to know what are you planning in order to involve the Starknet community more in the future, as obviously your core business is getting companies on board. But yeah, I know that you care a lot about the communities, the individuals, and you know that they can play a very important part in this fight towards climate change. So yeah, I just wanted to know a bit about the future of Carbonable.
Quick one, philosophy. We are focused on B2B right now, but we are not focused on B2B in general. We are focused on scalability, and we want to bring a B2B on the market because we can add a lot of value, incredible value, and at the end, there are the user of the carbon credit. Today, what we offer to the B2C, and we started with that, and we will finish with that. To be clear, we are creating the opportunity, like in reality, to people to invest in really qualitative carbon regenerative project, nature-based solution. And this is not accessible in the market. Today, if you want to have your savings working for you in a sustainable way, you have to trust your bank, but your bank is not able to provide you this service. So we're working even on this kind of possibility with neobanks about how we can open the way to banks to have traceable green financement. Okay, so at the end, we are working. We are purely dedicated to this, but for now we think that this advantage, the fact that we will bring a lot of value on our carbon credit is by bringing B2B on the blockchain and on the usage, and this is our strategy. So of course we're making it more complex to understand for the community, but at the end, for our community, we are a realty that offer you the possibility to invest on carbon markets really easily, with a really traceable way. You can also monitor, which you cannot do in reality, to be clear, and the yield could be good. We are not selling yield, but the yield could be good. So you can use it to use the carbon credit in the future because you want to decarbonize your activity as a citizen, or you can use it also because you want to have incomes coming from this and from the fact that we will buy from you a carbon credit and sell them to the B2B that we brought on the blockchain. So this is part of this. So for now, to achieve this, we think that for now we have to focus on how to bring value on this really complex market using the blockchain and using Starknet and Kero and proof of integrity. So in 6 months, so we have two we have two main let's say tasks. It's continuing proposing fundings to the community and opportunity of investment that are really qualitative, and that will be in the same time than offering it to B2B. So the idea is to put all the people on the same really qualitative subject. We are creating also, it's like a fund, we are a citizen fund using the blockchain to have leverage to be able to invest in major and really qualitative subject. And this is what we are building. So it takes times. We don't want to go too rush. It's a wrap-up activity where we are our past make us like a really operational and long-term oriented. So we take time. We don't want to be too big because we want to have like smart contract in the last version. We want to have trust. Because if we miss something, we will not make it. So we have to be really careful on it. So for now, the strategy is to continue offering so funding. They may come. I don't want to drop alpha. I'm not sure I cannot stop, but something may come by Q4 on Starknet and on Carbonable in terms of investment. It will come after the release of the farming of Carbonable, because we already offer the possibility to invest in project, and now the farming, Kero now is the new syntax of Kero have been released. We have been deploying and testing the new contracts. We have been peer reviewing, and we are doing the testnet like right now. It was supposed to be today, and we have like some adjustment in terms of UX. So the smart contracts are ready. The UX is being solved, so it's coming. And then when the farming is clear and the first incomes are distributed to the financer, we will go one step further. But from the other side, we are also doing research for the good, like public good research, to find a right way to tackle the issue and the challenges on the carbon market. And for that, we are building with companies pilot projects. So we are not industrializing this thing. We are selecting our major clients. We cannot dox because it's not official, but it's really impressive, the people that we are bringing here. The blockchain is transparent for them. You are using blockchain. We are not proposing blockchain. We are proposing integrity, and you don't have choice. Integrity is only possible with blockchain. So in 6 months, actually, this is where the focus will be: continuing investments in a ramp-up plan, so bigger and bigger and bigger, but not too quick. And Guillaume said it: we will not rush. We have time, and we are a long-term player. The project we are funding are supposed to last 20 or 30 years, and so this is why we are on Ethereum. This is why we selected to be on Starknet. This is etc. etc. So this is the plan, and we're doing great with the team, and the team is really incredible in delivering this really challenging and this really complex activity, but we are creating a path for the others. And the idea is also to onboard people to deploy and to build on top of Carbonable, because this is the way. This is what we will bring to tomorrow. If someone will want to build an AMM on the carbon market, we will help him. He will be able to use everything that we generated. If someone wants to use of course, also the dynamic NFT for gaming, it's already the case. We help them. We are dedicated to make successful the to tackle the challenges toward carbon market, but we're also committed to Starknet and so on. So we are like a truster, and that's the perspective.
That's great, Ramsey. What a very promising, future about Carbonable. And I really love your sustainable approach to things, to use an adjective that is connected to your project as well. And it's been an amazing episode. I learned a lot and I had a great time. And thanks a lot for coming. I really can't wait to have you back in a couple of months to discuss the news on the Carbonable site. And I wish you all the best with your project. And really looking forward to having you back here. And I also wanted to thank all the live listeners. And see you next week for another episode of the Star Cafe. And thanks a lot, Ramsey and Guillaume, for coming.
Thank you
Thank you very much.
You are doing great for the community, and it's consistent work for everyone. Everyone that is proposing qualitative things on the field.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks a lot for everything and for the hard work, and keep up the great work.
Thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate that. And thanks a lot. And it's now time to close the cafe. Remember to share the Starknet vibe, and see you the next time, guys. Thanks a lot. Bye, Ramsey. Bye, Guillaume. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.